Hi, Kevin.
Hello.
Welcome to the Neurodiversum podcast. I was told to say the word in English. I haven't figured a solution for
Neurodiversity.
this. Yeah, well, the German word Neurodiversum is a combination of the word neurodiverse and universe. But if you combine the words neurodiverse and universe in English, you just get the word neurodiverse. which,
Yeah,
which is
yeah,
which is like, but in German the word universe ends on universum, and so you
yeah.
can combine these two words and people still see the two original words that were combined, but that wouldn't
Mm,
work in English, so I haven't
yeah,
figured that one yet
neurodiverse
out.
verse. Yeah, I'm so glad to be here. Thank you for having me, Fabian.
It's so nice to have you back. I really enjoyed our talk at the Autism Conference, European Autism Conference in
Yeah,
Dublin.
yeah.
You are on the board of AsIAM.
Yes, I am one of the non-executive directors of the board, so I'm a
Mm-hmm.
volunteer director. Yeah, yeah.
Okay, so first I want to find out a little bit about how AsIAM is structured. And for those people who have no idea what AsIAM is the leading autism charity in Ireland. Is that correct?
Yes, yes. We will be the largest, most prevalent, and we were sponsored by the president for many years as the national charity.
Mm-hmm.
And hopefully that will continue after the election that we have tomorrow. So hopefully we've still got autism on the brain after the election, and we're still working hard,
What,
trying
what
to
what
improve
kind of
things.
election is that? Is that an election
Uh,
within AsIAM, or is it
oh no, I meant the presidential election, the
ah?
Irish presidential election, because we were very lucky to be one of the patron charities of
Mm-hmm.
the president for the last, I think, almost 14 years, 10, 11 years, I think, that he has been giving us donations through the president's fund to help us with our mission.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Do you get to vote for the president directly in Ireland?
yeah, we have a uh, single transferable vote system. So basically, you vote directly for the president,
Mm-hmm.
and you can rank your choices. So if
Oh,
you so if there's like 10 people on the ballot, you can
yeah.
go, this is the one I want the most, and this is the one I want the least, and rank them that way.
Oh, you have advanced voting systems. How nice. Our German voting systems are still very old school. Uh,
Yeah, it's
eh,
something that we're very proud of here.
yeah.
Even though I would say that we're not as good at actually using our votes here.
Yeah, but I think weighted election systems are in general a good idea.
Oh yeah.
Okay, and the structure of AsIAM. So in Germany, we the the Autismus e.V., Autism Club, if you
Mm.
would translate it word by word. It's a Verein. Verein is if you translate it into English, it's a club, and it's a structure that anyone can start. You need like to be an official club. You need certain structures within the club. Like you'll need
Mm.
someone for the finances, and you need some representatives and so on. And I was wondering, is the structure of AsIAM comparable to that?
It would be somewhat similar. So we are considered to be a charitable company.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, Specifically,
Okay.
the reason that we are uh, structured as a charitable company
Mm-hmm.
is that we provide services that we get paid for. And charities can, so basically, charities, difference between charities and charitable companies is just like purely a financial thing
Mm-hmm.
of the way that the amount of money that you're allowed to have stored for future use, the amount of money that it has to say if we get donations,
Mm-hmm.
if we were like a charity, we'd have to put I think most, if not all, of the donation directly into providing services without a lot of money for overhead and rent of the building and stuff. So we structure ourselves as a charitable company. And that means that we have an executive board and a non-executive board. I sit on the non-executive board. And all of the executive board and the non-executive boards all sit together pretty much, if that makes sense.
Is there a hierarchy? Like, does the
CEO is so basically there are certain decisions that only the non-executive board is involved in. So basically, a lot of the financial decisions, final decisions, are solely for us on the non-executive board because we have no financial stake in the company. We don't get paid by the company. We don't. We can't own part of the company or anything. Like it has to be no conflict of interest economically.
Okay, so the non-executive members have powers that the executive members do not have?
Yes, so like a lot of financial approvals have to be approved by non-executive members, and a lot of executive members can't vote on them. I believe the CEO presents a lot of that stuff, but he doesn't actually vote. It's up to us who are disconnected from the money side to approve it, because it's kind of a conflict of interest to ask someone who's being paid by the company to approve expenditures. Whereas if you're not being paid, then you can be more objective about it.
That's a nice system of checks and balances.
Yeah. And then going down, you have each of the executive members of the board are like they're like at the top of a chain of management, if that makes sense. So there's the CEO, and then there's a few others who are like executive members who are like high up in the management of the organization. And then they would each have like a specific group underneath them. So like people working on the community support initiatives would all kind of file up through the one hierarchy, and then people working on the information line and other aspects would all be through a different one. And then there are our legal and economic team that like handle accounting and legal stuff and all of that. So it's kind of structured very traditionally, almost like a company where there's a series of managers that go up. But because we are at the same time a charity, we have like a very different environment, I would say, to a lot of other office jobs that you might have in Ireland. For one thing, because it's an autistic company, and a large amount, I believe the majority of our employees are autistic, and a very large proportion of the board, both executive and non-executive, are autistic. We have like a very open and welcoming office space, I suppose would be the way to put it. We have little sensory pods. You might have seen one of them at the conference, the kind of little sensory work pods. Yeah, we have a few of those throughout the office, and we have a couple of like, obviously we have like softer lighting and nicer setup for an autistic workforce to be able to continue working effectively without burning themselves out.
I was actually already familiar with these pods, as you call them. They're coming from the company Cortex, right?
Yes, Cortex, yes.
And I was wondering, do you know if Cortex is active in England?
I'm not sure.
Because I used to work at Vodafone in Düsseldorf, and they had these. They had all this kind of furniture that Cortex was also providing, and I was wondering, since Vodafone is originally from England, if they were actually using the Cortex stuff, or if they were working with some other company. What it just looks like.
I think that the very real chance that they could have been using the Cortex stuff, or it could have been another company. I'm not entirely sure about the Cortex itself, the company. I just know about the stuff that we get from them, really, which is some of my favorite stuff in the office.
Yeah. The way, I mean, it was, you had large open space offices in Vodafone, but due to the way, you have these pods and all sorts of stuff, it made it kind of bearable. Because I would much,
I get what you mean.
yeah, I would much rather prefer, of course, an office with a door that can be closed, so it's quiet and that I have a space that I have control over. But it was a nice compromise with all that.
Yeah.
All that.
I completely understand. I do a lot of my work here. I'm actually at home. I'm in my room, at my desk. But a lot of people find my room like claustrophobic because it's a small room and I have bookshelves all on this side and the bed on this side and just a little narrow corridor up to my desk. And I've had other people tell me before that they don't think they could get any work done in here, and I'm like, no, I like having my little cave. It's my little, my little enclosed space for me to do my work.
My apartments tend to also be very functional. Okay, so let's get back to AsIAM. So we talked about the boards, the executive and the non-executive board. Interesting structure. Now, I'm thinking the board is probably, like, that's probably the head of the organization, right?
Yes.
And then I suppose you have a federal structure, but then you probably also have some sort of local structures all over the country, right?
Well, we were originally a very centralized structure, and we only had an office in Dublin, and anything that we offered was done by members driving down to wherever we were going and using hired out event spaces. But we actually very recently opened the start of our new project, the One Stop Shop initiative. So opening. So the first two, there'll be one in South Dublin and one in Galway, I believe. And they will essentially function, as you said, as kind of local branches of the organization. Basically, we want to offer all of the supports that we already offer and further supports, but we want to integrate it into the local community and local areas. So is that, because we find that when we're working on this national structure, which Ireland's a small country, it's only 5 point something million people, including the North, 7 million. But even in such a small country, trying to work off of this national system makes it difficult to respond to all of the needs of the community, especially considering that the needs of the community might change slightly from city to city or place to place. So we've been doing a lot of really good work getting the one-stop shop system up and running. And from those areas, we'll be offering so many of our supports. It'll be like really a decentralization of our supports from the greater Dublin area and the East, which has traditionally been where we have been most active because it's where the office is, in Dublin. So we're really looking forward to seeing that take off, and we're really looking forward to see the effect that it will have in the near future, because we think that service use will see a massive increase if people don't have to travel as far for certain things,
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. So to the listener, what you got to understand is that, as Kevin already mentioned, Ireland is not that big, and like half of Ireland is Dublin. Dublin is in the east of Ireland and holds almost half of the population of Ireland.
Yeah, I believe that Dublin city has about 1.8 million, and then Dublin and like the surrounding area, like it's what a lot of people in Ireland used to call the Pale, or just the eastern counties. I think that whole area is about 2.3 or 2.4 million people in a country of about 5.3 million people. So like literally half of the country lives within like 80, 90 kilometers circle from the city. And then all of the rest of us, like me, who lives out in the far west, we much less dense population out here.
Okay, yeah. So in Germany, I mean, we're 80 million people, or probably more by now. So we have that federal structure as well, and then there'll be local initiatives. So you'll have what we have is ATZs, which you can in German it's Autismus Therapiezentrum, and in English it would be Autism Therapy Center. And depending on how many active local people there are, would determine how large the center is and how many services and what kind of services it offers. So the city that I used to live in before I moved to Switzerland for most of the year has one of those centers. And they will, for instance, employ some social workers, some psychologists, and they will offer services such as autism therapy for kids, or self-help groups, and so on, that kind of stuff.
Very similar to the kind of stuff that we would offer, like ourselves, and are hoping to be running through the one-stop shops now.
So explain to the listeners a little bit of the role of libraries in Ireland. And I was wondering, these one-stop shops, would you install them within libraries? Because
so they would be kind of their own their own entity, but well, in terms of the role of libraries are very a lot of community initiatives are centered in libraries. A lot of support,
that's the impression that
education.
I got. Like the library double functions kind of like as a community center, right?
And in a lot of places, yes, especially in like my local town of Ennis, like we got a new library recently, a very nice new building. And a lot of things are run through there, like coding classes for kids, self-help classes run by a government organization. I can't remember the name of the government organization, but like helping people get their like CV in order and everything, like all those kinds of things. A lot of them are run through libraries or community centers, but mostly in a lot of places, the library is kind of the community center. And we actually, AsIAM did a recent, well, it's been going on for a while, but we have been involved in like a sensory audit of all of the libraries in the country, and we're still it's still ongoing. So sending people out to all of the libraries to take a look at the floor plan, the way things are arranged, the lighting, the way that like the different rules that they might have in place, and trying to see what ways can we recommend to improve the autistic experience in these spaces. We've not just done that in libraries, we do that in a lot of different at the moment we have an accreditation for the prison services and the court services going on, trying to create.
I'll definitely give you some room to talk about your audit and intervention system.
Oh yeah.
You don't have to squeeze it in right now. You'll get.
Oh yeah, no worries. So let me think. So yeah, talking about the one-stop shops, was it? Yes. So yeah, like one of the main things that we're really looking forward to with the one-stop shop is that AsIAM traditionally had been like at the beginning was very focused on policy and lobbying for better policy. And our supports were largely the information accessibility on our website and then later through our call center, the AsIAM helpline. And then over time, we kind of managed to get a really good kick, I suppose is the way I would put it, where things kind of kicked up into high gear for us, where things got we started growing very fast, and we started being able to offer a lot more very fast because Minister Rabbit, former Minister Rabbit, when she was the minister for what's the term? Oh, sorry, I've had a long day, so my brain's
Don't
a little
worry,
bit.
don't worry. This is a neurodiverse podcast. You get to be you.
Yeah, so she's the Minister of State for Children, Equality, Disability, and Integration and Youth.
Mm-hmm.
And she took a particular interest in our organization and the work that we were doing, and she saw us starting to offer a lot of these new policies, new initiatives of community support groups, where it could range anything from social groups for children to educational groups for parents of recently diagnosed children, to self-help and improvement groups for autistic young adults, and then also just social spaces for autistic adults, because that was something that we saw was really missing in the community, was that a lot of autistic people found it very hard to get involved in hobbies. And so we started opening up a whole host of different things, from book clubs to Lego clubs and stuff. And these were all facilitated by volunteers and us providing as much support as we could. But Mr. Anne Rabbit found a lot of value in it and helped us kind of brought us to her attention more and more. And she really backed us, and she started to really fight for us to get better funding and access to things. And we ended up becoming a much larger organization very quickly, because we kept winning these funding rounds to get money for an employment support officer here, a community engagement officer. And we kind of really ramped up, I'd say around the time of COVID, a lot of things that we have been doing for a while. It's funny because even though things were interrupted with the pandemic, it also highlighted the need for us and our services. Like, it really highlighted it. And then we kind of came back with a vengeance in like a massive expansion of the support that we offered, of like individual, like of people taking on casework where we can help you to advocate for yourself in a whole host of situations, whether it be getting assistive technology grants for your kid who has autism, or whether it's helping an autistic person navigate everything. Like, we've helped people navigate college applications, getting unemployment, like all of those different things, the things that can be intimidating and difficult when, say, you maybe aren't the best socially in a lot of scenarios, and now you have to write a lot of emails and make a bunch of phone calls and attend like a meeting or two with some civil servant or something that, like, you don't know what to expect. So we've created a lot of information and offered a lot of one-to-one help with that. I'd say about, if I remember correctly, there's about 7,000 calls into the information line a year-ish, I think. I need to look at my numbers again, but there's, like, we also offer autism ID cards. So basically, like, it's a little card that you can get from us. I have mine here somewhere, if I can find it. Here it is. Oh, come on. Or is it in my other wallet? It might be in my other wallet. but it's a little card to identify that you are autistic, and you can use the card at a wide variety of wide variety of ways. Like it can be when you're traveling on public transport, you can show the card in order to inform like the driver. If you just show the card, the driver is supposed to know that you might need an extra minute or two, or you might like just need a little extra patience. It can also be handy. We've heard of people using it like with heading into a new doctor that they're just getting a first appointment or something with. And all of this stuff has so far been concentrated all on the head office with so many people working all the time. But now we can kind of, with the one-stop shops, start to let smaller teams take on more local problems while we can focus on, in the head office, on continuing larger initiatives and stuff. So we can continue to provide our support without losing track of the larger picture.
Is that autism identity card, is it in any way connected to the JAM card?
So JAM is very similar, yeah. So our autism identity card came out at the same time as the JAM card, well, or maybe a little bit before.
Okay, let me explain that real quick for the listeners. The JAM card, JAM stands for just a minute, and it's a card that you can get when you have a disability and when you come into a shop or something and you encounter a situation that's overwhelming, you need a break, you pull out the JAM card, and then most clerks will know, oh, okay, this is a person with a disability. I'll just give them some time. Maybe I'll take the next customer in the meantime or something like that.
Yeah. And it's fantastic resource for people to have because it really can take the pressure off that pressure that as an autistic person, it might not be an actual pressure situation, but you feel under pressure.
Yes.
Kind of the social anxiety of it.
And with a card like that, you don't have to explain yourself. That's a benefit, I'd say.
Another wonderful benefit of it is that we are our card is recognized by a whole bunch of these resorts and organizations across Europe, like Disneyland Paris takes our card. So it's proof of your, they consider proof of your disability for the purposes of providing the accessibility options that are provided in the park, which I think is fantastic just to have that kind of way out of stressful situations of just immediately being able to hand over your card and see, oh, well, here's a way for me to explain things without using up my limited energy.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Yeah. So I think, I've just said it before, but we were really looking forward to the One-Stop Shop program and seeing the expansion of these support groups, and then also the expansion of like our assistance with the One-Stop Shop will see like our actual diagnosis assistance become much greater, and therapeutic assistance become much greater. We'll be offering certain things. I believe occupational and speech and language therapy will be offered through these one-stop shops. And so far we only have the 2 opening, but we are looking for, I believe there's going to be 9 is the hope overall. It's a really exciting time.
It sounds like your organization is really blooming at the moment.
Yeah.
I was wondering, do you have a quota of how many autistic people are in the organization and positions?
Oh, I believe if you give me a moment, I have it somewhere here on my computer.
Yeah, yeah, just take your time. And while Kevin is looking, I'm already gonna explain. So, AsIAM was also the partner for the local partner for the organizers of the of the my God of the Autism Europe conference, and we'll get into that later on. But it was just really nice to be at a conference this big, where so many of the staff involved were actually autistic people.
It makes a difference, doesn't it?
It was a very nice congress. It felt very welcoming. I felt kind of at home amongst such a large crowd, which is rare for me.
Yes, I actually found it myself. It was almost it overwhelming in a different way, if that makes sense, to have such a inclusive group.
It was overwhelming to me because there was just so much interesting stuff, and I couldn't get to all of it.
Yeah, I loved the conference, but there was one or two of those things where it was two things I'm interested in happening at the same time, and I can't be in two places.
Yes.
So I believe. So our goal at the moment, we are in the middle of doing some recruiting for new board members, non-executive board members. But at the moment, I believe that we're at around 45% of the board being autistic, and we should jump to, if the recruitment that we think is going to happen, it does happen, we should jump to about 50. So that'll be half the non-executive board, and then of the executive board, I believe everyone is, or it's either 75% or 100% of the executive board, and then I believe it's around about 60% of staff.
That's pretty impressive.
Yeah.
So one thing I picked up on, and you already mentioned it in one of your previous answers, is the audit and the intervention system that you use. So I heard it from different people, and I'll just try to recollect what I've heard, and you can fill in the gaps. So one thing that you guys seem to do a lot is you go into organizations for 10 months, or you do interventions with families for 10 months. Is that 10-month system, is that correct? Or did I, because I also talked to the Middleton Center, and I might be confusing things.
I believe that the family thing is 10. The Middleton family thing, I think that's 10 months. Whereas we do our intervention thing with companies, mostly companies and organizations.
Okay, but you kind of go into organizations and you bring them up to the state of the art in let's say autism support that can be helpful for their customers, but also for their inner workings. Is that correct?
Yeah, that is correct. We do it in both government organizations and private companies.
Yeah, I talked to the Allied Irish Bank, and they explained their system of sensory maps for their branches to me. So on the website of Allied Irish Banks, you will find a sensory map for each bank, building. And so before you go there, you can plan your visit to the bank. They'll have quiet spaces. Like some people, I mean, it's financial stuff. It's important. If you make mistakes, it'll cost you. So you want to be there with a clear head. And so what they offer, for instance, is quiet spaces, so that once you got to the bank, you can take a break, you can calm down from having traveled there. And when your head is cleared, that's when when you'll have your appointment. There's also there'd be a no symbol for places within the building where there could be an intense smell, for instance, because of a restaurant that is next doors and things like that. So yeah, I was quite impressed with that. And you do that with all kinds of organizations in Ireland, don't you?
Yeah, so I believe that the two of actually AIB was one of the big early ones, and PTSB as well. So there are two very large banking groups.
It's a bank as well.
Yeah, two very large banking groups that were kind of very early adopters of the idea very shortly after we started doing it. And PTSB is the same thing. You find sensory guides to all of the accredited branches. And we do it with a lot of different organizations. We've done it with the libraries. It's an ongoing process still with the libraries. We've gotten a lot of libraries done, but it's kind of, there's so many libraries in the country that by the time that we're finished with all of them, we'll have to start again. But yeah, we've also done it with a variety of places. Like, I believe that there's 2 different theaters that we've done it at, a couple of cinemas. There are it's often part of it's often kind of built into our systems, like the Autism Friendly Towns project and the Autism Friendly Universities project. Like, there are 7 accredited campuses of universities where the whole campus has been accredited. It's not quite the same system where you get a sensory map for the entire place, but the whole campus has been accredited, that we are confident, we've trained the staff and the put in place the institutional knowledge to be autism friendly, and we keep them honest as well. We check to make sure that they're following all of our guidelines. So that's a big one. Like, I think that's a really important one. It was a really important one for me, of something I was incredibly proud of. It started, the Autism Friendly University project started before I became a board member. I've been with the organization for a lot longer than being a board member. I started out working with the organization 2 years after the organization was founded. So that was, that was a long time ago. Trying to remember what age I was. I was 14, 15. I'm 26 now. So it was over a decade ago. And I started out as a member of the Youth Leadership Team, which is a big part of the organization. And the Youth Leadership Team was talking to autistic youths and consulting us on a lot of the policy and programs that AsIAM was working on early on. We had a little bit of input on the kinds of things we would like to see in this accreditation program as well, of like, how can we make sure that our accreditation translates more generally across the spectrum of the autism spectrum. And it was really a lot of research. Like, it took a while to develop the program and develop how we accredit things, because obviously autism is such a diverse spectrum of people with different needs and sensory do's or don'ts. So it was very, very, very long process figuring out the sensory accreditation, the autism friendly accreditation, but it's now, I think, invaluable. Like I said to you before, we're working currently with the court service and the prison service on trying to get prisons and courts accredited, because we kind of have the belief, and the court service and prison service also have the belief of, even if you're in prison or even if you're in a courthouse, those are incredibly stressful situations. And stress is, especially, like, I had to serve jury duty once, if that, and it was one of the least sensory friendly experiences of my entire life.
Okay, jury duty Can we imagine it as we know it from the American movies?
Very much so.
So you do actually get taken out of real life for a while, so you'll have an excuse not to go to work,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
you'll be in a hotel or whatever. And
So it wasn't like high profile jury duty. Like in high profile jury duty, you might be taken to a hotel or something. But for me, it was just regular jury duty. It was basically don't go, like, here's this letter. You don't have to go to work for as long as this is on. They'll pay you, I think it was like €22 or something, like for lunch. And you go to the courthouse and you do as you're told, basically. In the case of me doing jury duty, the case ended up being dismissed at the end of the day. So I didn't have to go back day on day, but some people do. But I just found that like the courthouse was terribly set up for like anyone with autism or ADHD to like it. The way I see it is that like jury duty is like it's a civil duty. It's a civil responsibility. And it was being made almost impossible for, like, I recognize that I might have been able to deal with it, but most autistic people, I would say, and I'd say a lot of other neurodiverse people would not be able to deal with it and would not be able to participate in this civil responsibility because of it. So our work with the court service is looking at making it a more friendly experience for autistic people to be able to interact, not just as jurors, but also if you're a defendant or anything, like just a more accessible place for autistic people to be, because it's an important part of society. Like you might end up in court one day, and you best hope that on one of the most stressful days of your life, when you end up in court, you best hope that you don't also happen to be completely overwhelmed by everything around you, you know?
Yeah, that would be
sure
nice.
That wouldn't help sure that wouldn't help anyone's case.
Yes, if it's a civil duty, then every civilian should be able to do it with dignity.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that doing it with doing that accreditation process with the court service, prison service at the moment is really important. The work that has been done with the libraries, we've gotten feedback already from people about the service that's been done with the libraries, of just how I have had one person tell me that she found that it was almost life-changing for her daughter to be able to access the same services as all of the other kids in her school and all the other kids around her, you know?
Yeah.
That it makes such a massive difference. And then there's also like certain shops and stuff. With a lot of supermarket chains, we've done partnerships, and we've developed these autism friendly hours where even if they don't get the full accreditation that it's 100% autism friendly all the time, there are some of them that have gotten these autism friendly hours setups where between a certain times the lights are dimmed, the noise is reduced, everything, crowds are smaller.
Yeah. That's been a thing in Germany as well. It's something that stores do by themselves, because our autism organization is not set up in the way that you are with these interventions. But yeah, and from what I hear, it's becoming a trend all over the world to have like these sensory hours where.
Yeah. I think that probably the most important one for a lot of young autistic people that we've taken part in is the Autism Friendly University. Like the Autism Friendly University program was a world first. We were the first organization to explore that possibility, and it's yielded massive results. Like the rate of dropout in those 7 universities amongst autistic students has dropped. The rate of enrollment of autistic students has risen.
That's wonderful.
It really changes what people think is possible for themselves.
Mm-hmm.
And I should say that as an autistic man who dropped out of university, a university that was, I believe was very good and progressive, but I dropped out of university because I really didn't feel like I was able to make it through at the time with the services set up the way that they are.
Same here.
Yeah, exactly.
I really ground myself into bits trying to make it through university, but eventually I just couldn't do that to myself anymore.
Yeah,
and it didn't get me anywhere. It just got me more broken down.
Yeah, I was very similar. Like, I did amazing in first year. I started to run into trouble in second year, and I had to repeat my second year of university. And I repeated my second year of university, and I basically failed my repeat year very, very slightly.
Mm-hmm.
And it honestly, in a way that I would argue, if there was better supports set up for autistic people, would not have happened, if that makes sense.
Yeah, same here. So I studied computer sciences, and you had the RINS subjects, if you know what I mean. So the subjects were students that are weak in these fields. They were supposed to fail to rinse them out. And so those were the hard classes. That was math 1 to 3. That was coding 1 to 3. And I had them all done. What I was failing at was the supposed easy classes. And they would be mathematic basics of computer sciences. And that would be a course that was packed with all sorts of stuff. And I just didn't know, it was weird to transfer that into an exam that you had to take, because there was really randomly chosen parts of that whole class. And it had all this stuff in the class, and all of it interested me. I wasn't able to filter that, and I was not able to understand from the clues that I was given, what am I supposed to prepare for the exam in this class? I find all of this interesting, and I'm supposed to pick out some random bits of information that I have to learn by heart to pass the exam.
Yep.
Eventually, I came across someone in the dorm, and he told me, yeah, I'm just gonna, he didn't invest a lot of time and effort into his studies. And he was like, yeah, I'm just gonna learn things by heart for a week. Then I'll put it all in the exam, and in 2 weeks I'll have forgotten all about it again. And he was getting by just fine. And I was thinking, if that's what you need to do to be successful at this, then I don't want to be successful at this.
Yeah, no, I completely get you. I had I studied English literature and, well, really just literature, and then history as well. And I found myself passing all of the mandatory classes that are supposed to be the thing that, again, is the great filter. And I ended up really struggling with these choice classes, and people were like, wait, choice class? I chose these subjects because they interested me. And then the way that the subjects were set up and they were taught was very obtuse a lot of the time. It wasn't always clear what I needed to learn, what was to go on the exam, but even more so because history and English require literary analysis and bias analysis and all of that kind of thing that is not immediately on the surface. It's kind of interpretive.
Yeah.
I found that I would have an interpretation that I would discuss with my lecturer, my professor, and my professor would find it I kept being told that I wasn't getting it, but I wasn't really told what I was not getting. Like, what was it that where was my mistake?
Yeah.
And they were like, oh, it's just, you'll know it. And I'm like, I don't know it. And so I couldn't really, I kept like getting really close to passing and then like just not on those subjects. So eventually I dropped out and I went into what I do now, which is I am a special education support assistant or a special needs assistant, as is the official term. So I assist in teachers in classrooms, both mainstream and special needs specific, special education needs specific. And I assist teachers and students in those classes to enable students with additional needs to access the curriculum on fair and equal footing with their peers.
So you get to set straight what was lacking in your education.
Yes. I get to like I'm kind of a mixture of, and it's like the strictest legal interpretation of the job is that I'm literally there to assist with primary and secondary needs, with like helping to interpret material, helping with feeding if they have motor issues, helping with all of that kind of stuff. But then in reality, with the job, what you are also there to do is to be your student's advocate. At the same time, you're there to be the advocate for the student. You are there to assist them. You are there to help the teacher to like interpret curriculum for this student in a way that this student will get, because unfortunately in a teacher with a class of 24, 28 students, they can't give every single child individual attention all of the time. So that is the role of the SNA as well, or is to give that child more one-to-one time, which is fantastic job. I love my job. And yeah, it's so then also that has fed into, as I like my job with AsIAM, the director position comes from my experience as an advocate, comes from my experience as a student who went through the hard times in school, both primary, secondary, and college difficulties, and then also being a like educator working within the system who is helping children with these same diagnoses and difficulties that I had.
I think that's the optimal background.
I hope so.
What I found really annoying about college and university is that the way I like to learn and the way I like to indulge myself in knowledge and the way you need to learn for an exam were just very different things. And that was very disappointing. So what I was hoping to find when I went to university was the alma mater, the mother of science. But
yes.
Universities have really eroded since they came up with that term.
Yeah, I mean, like for me, one of the things was I had a devout love of reading as a child, and then in university I studied English and history, so I had to read. See, I loved reading as a child, but now I had to read monumentous amounts of information, like huge quantities of information and books, and I had to do it on a very short timeline, and that almost just for a while that destroyed my love of reading. Like beside me here, you can't see, but I have two full bookshelves of books.
But I totally understand the problem.
And like every semester I had to read like one full shelf for all of my like novels and then history books and history books. I love history, but history books are not easy reading.
Also, I think with scientific books, like maybe it's better with the history books, but with a lot of books that I've read from scientists, from researchers, from out of that space, a lot of it is like you could have just written the first chapter, and the rest of the book is just drilling it in. But I read the first chapter and I got it. I listened, I got it. And then there's 8 more chapters of just drilling in what has already been told in the first chapter. So
I think one of my least favorite things about a lot of history books is because a lot of history books, like they use multiple sources and stuff, they'll tell you everything from one perspective, and then they'll tell you everything from another perspective.
Yeah.
So they'll go over the same thing from different perspectives. But then like, as you're reading the book, as you get into it, it's like, oh, and that first guy, he was lying. So it's like, oh, so I had to read about. So I read something. You showed me something, and it was untrue. And now, like 30 pages later, you're like, oh yeah, that thing I said 30 pages ago, that was not true.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I get it that they want to show in a lot of these books, they want to show like the evolution of our understanding.
Yeah, and they also want to kind of make their ideas bulletproof.
Yes.
And I think, like maybe I'm leaning a bit too far out of the window here, but I would argue that if there were only openly autistic people in science, I think it would be a lot more good faith, and then you didn't need to have all these protections against bad faith stuff. So
yeah, I feel like there is a certain amount, like, because there's also just the thing, like the research thing of like autistic people find it more uncomfortable to lie and to be dishonest, and or the thing of like there was some morality test where they were doing they were checking like a bunch of people's like more responses to hypothetical situations, and it was like, what if you could steal X amount of money from a charity, but no one would know and you wouldn't get in trouble? And they found that like the majority of respondents said that like, oh, in the right circumstances they would do that if no one would know and they wouldn't get in trouble. But they found that like all of the autistic responses were like, no, I wouldn't. That's bad. I wouldn't do it. And
the money is meant for a different purpose, not for my personal enjoyment.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I remember the study being like, and that's so weird. And I'm like, no, it's not weird. The money is meant for a different purpose.
Yeah, but I think lying, in many ways, like you're cutting corners, and it will catch up with you eventually. And then you have a big mess to clean up. So I think lying is really inefficient.
Yeah. And I think that something that I've also found is I've gotten really into, like, as a lover of history and someone who's still like, one day, if I feel like I'm better able for it, I might go back and do my degree part-time or something, you know?
But also, you don't really need a degree. You can just be well versed, and you can be
exactly, because I continue to read, like at the moment, like I have, where is it? I still love English analysis. I still have
unfortunately being blurred out.
It's well, maybe that's good copyright. It's a book on like analysis theory on film, and then I have like it's analysis theory about film, like how to analyze film and narrative. And then I have another book that I was reading a couple of weeks ago that I have finished, and it's about it's called The Inheritance of Rome, and it's about like the science that was lost between the end of the Roman Western Roman Empire and the Middle Ages. And that's just stuff that interests me, and I love learning about these things. And I find that being really into this stuff, I've found myself attracted to a lot of autistic creators online, like autistic YouTubers and TikTokers and stuff. And there's a very interesting guy online that I've been looking at. I can't remember his name, but he's a history YouTuber, and he made like a really good point about like one of the reasons that he really didn't enjoy history in school was because they kept telling him about like great men, like individuals, and like telling you like about Winston Churchill and the things he did, or like blah 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 blah. Whereas like the thing that I'm more interested in, the thing that he as well is more interested in, a lot of autistic history lovers are more interested in, is like, yeah, but what was it like for like just people, just normal people? Just tell me about the history of normal people. I want to learn about normal people's history, because that's kind of wild. I want to be able to put myself in that perspective.
Yeah, that is also something that annoyed me about history in school. It was always broken down to these particular figures and these particular dates. And like, it was more important to know that this thing happened on the 9th November of 1983. That was more important to understand the whole context of what was going on.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I find that something that, and this is wheeling a little bit back towards AsIAM here, is that I find that with a lot of autistic people, what you find is a real desire for contextual understanding and contextual knowledge, and that's across everything from special interests like mine in history to like, I want to have contextual knowledge of people. I want to have contextual understanding. Like, when I'm dealing with bureaucrats or civil servants looking for something, I really wish that there was some kind of understanding amongst these people that contextual knowledge is like really important, and like reducing someone to a list of checked boxes and unchecked boxes in like who needs support is like really not helpful. And I think that AsIAM exceeds at that contextual knowledge, especially in like casework and stuff, of like, if you come to us and you need help, you will get help from a person who wants to find out everything that relates to the issue and anything you think is important, and then they'll tell you things they think are important, and then they will gather information and they'll come back to you and present you with usually several options on how to proceed when people come to us for like advice on getting a diagnosis, advice on like looking at occupational therapists in their area and stuff, for or all that kind of stuff. And I just think the contextual approach that we take to so many things is so affirming for people.
Okay, let me try to wrap up this segment. I think context is also really important in regards to learning for autistic people. I think that's the way I explain it in my book. When you don't have context, it's kind of like you're trying to hang Christmas decorations, but there's no tree.
Yes.
So you'll just hang them into the air. They drop down and break, and they're useless. If you don't have context where you can sort the little information bits that you then get, where you can sort them into that context, then it's not very helpful. There's one more thing I want to say about university. I think it would have really helped me if I had started drinking earlier in my life. So I didn't touch alcohol much at all until I was 32. That was when I was already done with my attempts at studying. And I found that studying university, it puts you under a perma pressure that never really goes away. And a night of excessive drinking can really get you out of, like, somewhat excessive. Let's not overdo it.
Yeah. We're not saying dangerous drinking. We're saying a party.
Yes, not dangerous drinking, but like get a little buzz on, and it takes you out. It takes you out of the context of your own life for a night.
Yeah.
And I think that is something that could have really helped me handle the stress of the perma-stress that builds up during university.
I think it can. I also think that it can. Obviously, I think it can be good. It can be healthy, or it can also get unhealthy. Like I've known autistic friends of mine who have kind of found the social lubrication of it and taken it too far, where they're drinking too much and too often and stuff. But I think that there is definitely something to be said for a bit of a kind of the way I've kind of put it to people before is not just drinking, but a couple of different things that like maybe like drinking could be one of them, like going out for a nice night, or just kind of self-care stuff in general, like treating yourself, or even shopping, buying that thing that you know that you really want, even if it's a little bit expensive. I think that all of those things can kind of be seen as, I've always put it as like, for me, with the way I see my emotions as an autistic man, a lot of the time is that I am a pressure cooker, and I am different levels of emotional intensity kind of turn up and down the heat. And these things, like a night out with my friends, having some drinks, buying myself the game that I really want, is a little bit expensive. They can be like releasing that pressure, like a pressure valve. You know, to kind of make it so that like there's still stress and there's still all these things, like it doesn't go away, but I can handle it a little bit longer before it blows over. And then eventually, the way I found is that eventually it will always at some stage blow over before it starts anew, whether it be a little small, just bad day, or a full-blown like meltdown. Like it will always eventually, after a couple of months or maybe a year, something's gonna give at some stage. And I think knowing that and understanding that helps me to minimize the damage to myself and others in those kind of blow-ups, you know?
Yeah, games, especially video games that have some level of immersion to them, really help as well. Like
I'm a big proponent of role-playing games, both video games and TTRPGs like Dungeons and Dragons.
Yeah, stuff that really lets you get out of your daily
life, daily mindset.
Yeah. I find that really helpful to balance out the stress of having to live your life
in a world that is not built for you, because that's a big thing. Is like there's a big debate amongst a lot of people in Ireland about whether or not autism is a disability or what it is. And the way that I say it is that autism, in my experience, is like, it is definitely a condition, and it is like, to me, it's like an environmental disability. The reason that my autism disables me is because of the environment. It's not necessarily because my autism is inherently, if I was catered to, if the world was built around my needs, then I wouldn't still be disabled, you know? But unfortunately, the world is not built around autistic brains and autistic lives. It's built around neurotypical lives, and therefore that is disabling to those of us who are neurodiverse.
Yeah, where I would almost argue that the neurotypicals are not very good at taking care of themselves, because usually when you apply measures that are meant to support autistic people in a structure and an organization, the neurotypicals benefit from it as well, but they never bother to change anything about their neurotypical ways.
I actually did some work with, I helped out with presentations a few times, Professor Magda Mustafa,
Mm-hmm.
who has taken a really interesting approach to autism-friendly design and architecture. And the research done on that autism-friendly design architecture for education has found that it universally increases everyone's quality of time in that environment. It might be designed in order to help autistic people, but it helps everyone in the space. And I see that in the classroom. There's a classroom that I worked in where there was a system put in place specifically to help children with autism. But in order not to single out those children and make them feel othered, it was introduced across the board to the whole class. So everyone kind of got access to this this new kind of focus tool. And we found that it was helping the autistic people it was supposed to help, but it was way helping everyone. Like, everyone liked it. Everyone got something out of it. Everyone's reading scores improved, and it was focused on reading. So we were like, interesting. So we did this thing for autistic kids, and it turns out that it just works for all of the kids. And so I kind of think that you see that not even just with autism stuff, but with like ADHD accommodations and dyslexia accommodations. It kind of turns out that if you are like just enabling a diverse group of people to equally participate in your landscape, like whether that be a classroom or that be a business or that be government, turns out that if you enable a diverse group of people to engage, then that engagement like will help everyone. Diverse minds and diverse input will help everyone.
So what I wanted to talk to you about as well was what was it like being the local partner of Autism Europe and getting to do the conference or the Congress?
Oh, it was incredible. We were when we put in our bid, we were like, well, we were confident, but also like, we're a small country on the edge of Europe, and the last few partners have been like Poland and France and Switzerland and stuff. So we kind of didn't expect to see. We did. We thought it would be really interesting for us, for our perspective to be seen and to be heard and to be a part of it. And we were so lucky to be. Our bid was successful, and it takes a lot of planning.
Yeah, I bet.
The board, we were like talking about the Congress for 2.5 years before, because it's every 3 years. So we were talking about for about 2.5 years beforehand. We were planning. We were making out the budget. We were signing agreements with, the Autism Europe, like the way that things are kind of done between us and them. And then it was really amazing as well to have this opportunity to show all of our progress across Europe, and kind of show that like we're a small country. We're also a young organization, but even as a small country and a young organization, we had a lot of good ideas, we think, and we brought forward a lot of good ideas. One of the things that was published at the Congress was a massive initiative from us about autism and employment, and increasing levels of autism employment through the Irish economy, with partnerships with many businesses and helping with training on making businesses more autism friendly and kind of encouraging people to not see it as a lot of people have seen it over the years, where a lot of people have kind of seen, oh, well, I'm hiring this person and they're autistic, and that means that I'll have to put in like a whole bunch of time and effort into accommodating them. And we were trying to show that but putting in that time and effort can be, because autistic people can bring so much to business and to companies, and so getting to debut that piece of work at the Congress, and then also getting to host all of these incredible speakers from across Europe and the wider world, and getting to we've had our conference now for years, our own national conference, and we were used to running a national conference, but our national conference was usually nowhere near the size of the Autism Europe Congress. We had over 2,000 delegates and guests and everyone.
Oh, over 2,000. The last number that I had heard when I was there was 1,800.
Yeah, so our final count was just a bit over 2,000.
Very nice.
Which was huge. I think the largest conference we'd had was 600 or 700 before our national conference. Mm-hmm. So that scale increase was massive. And then I think, and I hope that everyone who went can say that I think that we did very well as an organization. I was incredibly proud of our team and our staff.
I felt really welcome. I felt really comfortable. There were all these green shirts around. The green shirts were people from AsIAM who were volunteering to help with the conference. And it was just really nice because all of the green shirts were either autistic themselves or were well versed in what autistic people need, being at a conference. And so it was really comfortable. I never found myself standing in front of a plan trying to figure out things by myself, because every time I would look confused, I would look lost or exhausted, there was already somebody there offering support or help, but they also did it in a way where it didn't felt intrusive. So one thing I noticed, they never came all that close. And they would offer but if you didn't if you just made a slight hand movement, they'd leave you alone again. They'd understand that even offering help can be overwhelming, and so they did it in a way that was very gentle, and I really enjoyed that, and it just felt really human, because whenever there was a problem, there was a human right there who would take care of it. So for instance, I did not sign up for the quiet registration because I didn't know what it was. I didn't know such a thing existed. And when I arrived there, I just saw, quiet registration. Okay, I'll go there. But I didn't know that you have to sign up for that. But it didn't matter.
Yeah.
They realized I was the kind of person that would benefit from the quiet registration. And so after I had dropped my name, there was already someone running off to the other registration, getting the stuff and so on. So I just felt really comfortable at the conference.
Yeah, because it's something that we've had at our conferences and stuff before, and then at the Congress was this idea of enabling people to participate fully without kind of directing them, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Like you said, of gentle enabling is different from directing and kind of I'm going to solve this problem for you. Do you need help with something, or is there anything that I can do? Oh, you don't want to talk? That's completely fine. I'm over here if you need me. I think it's fantastic. I think that the talks, the breakout rooms, all of it, I think it went off without a hitch.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure that there was a few hitches. I'm sure that some of the members of staff will tell me that there were hitches behind the scene. But even if there were hitches behind the scene, I don't think that anything came across as. I don't think anything came across to the actual attendees. I think that any of the hitches were dealt with really well. I also think that it's also just such an amazing space to be in. I love conferences, autism conferences, and stuff for meeting autistic people. And you can attest that we were staying in the same hotel during the conference, and there was a lot of other people that we met at the that were you staying at the same hotel, or were you across the road? Or
No, I was staying at an Airbnb.
oh, you're staying at Airbnb. Sorry, no.
Though the hotels that were offered, they felt kind of pricey for me. You know, I don't have a organization behind me. I traveled on my own to this thing, and that would be like the only point of criticism that I would have, is that it would be nice if, for autistic people who come by themselves without an organization buffing them up or whatever, that would be nice if there were cheaper accommodations, because I mean,
that was.
The Royal Dublin Society is great, and being like in the city center is great, but it comes at a price, at a little price.
Yeah, and unfortunately, sorry, I for some reason my brain completely shorted. I forgot that you weren't staying in the hotel, but there was a lot of. Well, I'm sure you can attest, because you were at one of the events as well. Is that you kind of just met other speakers or delegates and kind of just got to chatting with people. And it's something that I feel like a lot of autistic people find very funny, is the fact that, like, the idea of just wandering around somewhere that I'm attending and ending up in a chat would be terrifying anywhere else, but at a conference or something where everyone is autistic, or at least well versed in autism, it can really actually be quite freeing and liberating to be able to just kind of have the kind of the random chit chat that I would not really be able to do in other places, and getting to know people and making friends. Like, we met at the barbecue, and we just got to talking and everything, you know.
Yeah, I've already recorded the podcast with Elspeth.
Oh, lovely.
Yeah. So that was really nice to.
Yeah.
That is also something like, that is also it's not a point of critique actually, but it's a point of contempt, I suppose. Like, there's always too little time to mingle with all the other autistic people.
Yeah. It's the thing of like. We should just build in an entire social day to you know.
Yeah, I was thinking about something like that. I was thinking about talking to Aurelie. Aurelie is the head of Autism Europe, and like, maybe in Spain, the next conference is going to be in Spain in 3 years. Yeah. Like, I would like the idea of an autism camp surrounding the Congress, where, like, if the Congress is on this one weekend, then maybe like the whole week leading up to the Congress could already be like a time frame where there's an autism camp happening in the same location. So like, the autistic people could come a weekend early and just mingle amongst themselves a little bit.
Yeah.
Like something like that. The idea is not really ready for proposal yet, but it's something that's been on my mind.
Yeah, and the thing about super accommodations is that is something that I feel myself as well, because I know that the rate of unemployment amongst a lot of autistic people is very high, or underemployment, as a lot of people put it, where, you know, a lot of autistic people that I know cannot really work full time. They don't find it suitable to work full time for their needs. So a lot of them work part time stuff. So it usually means that money is a little bit more of a pressing issue when it comes to stuff like this, like getting accommodations. And very unfortunately, that is the one downside that we had to having it in Dublin, which was that we're not a cheap country.
Mm-hmm.
Ireland is an expensive country to live in and to visit.
Yeah, but that's normal for island countries.
Yeah,
to some degree.
and like our like hotels and stuff can be incredibly expensive, but that is unfortunately just a side effect of the reality, the current reality in Ireland.
Yeah.
But it was amazing to be part of the partner organization that was hosting Autism Europe. It was humbling and something to take pride in, and also something to have a lot of concern and like anxiety about coming up to the conference of like, is this all going to go well? Is everyone going to enjoy it? Like, we've put so much work into it. And
In
then,
my
of course,
opinion,
when it happens, a lot of pride in everyone in the organization like managing to pull it off. A lot of pride in the city and my country as well, that consistently, when we've had international visitors for national conferences or now at the Congress, like consistently being told by people that Ireland was a very welcoming country, that people really enjoyed their time. That's always been a point of pride for me, is just the fact that when people tend to come here, they tend to leave happy.
Yeah, I think you guys did very well with the conference. Let me pick you up on what you just said as a lead over to the last subject I have. You said that Ireland is a very welcoming country. At the moment, Ireland is in the news because of riots about migration. And when I was traveling to Ireland for the conference, I was like a week or 2 weeks before that, I was kind of like, please let there not be any political thing, because I mean the whole of the UK seems to be a bit boiling at the moment. There have been a lot of protests in England and all over the country, and it was strange because I felt Dublin was really nice. Like everyone was really nice. People were really welcoming. I mean, I suppose you would notice that I'm a stranger from my dialect, and it didn't seem to matter at all in any of the interactions that I had. And now I see the news, and there's burning cop cars, and people are really angry. And then it seems to revolve all around an autistic girl. So from what I've heard is that a 10-year-old autistic girl had been assaulted by an asylum seeker or migrant. And that's what led to the rioting. And one point of contempt for me in this story is what I heard. So this girl is in state care, and in a response to the incident, there was a voicing that offended me to some degree, because it sounded as if the autistic girl was somewhat to blame for that having happened to her, because her behavior is odd. And that is kind of why I kind of wanted to address this subject, because that really bothers me. Because from what we know from research is that autistic people are prone to abuse and sexual abuse, because autistic people tend to have a hard time saying no. And they can be naive. They might not have an overview of a particular situation, and so they're very prone to be the target of predators. And so it really bothered me to find this kind of a framing it where they were putting blame on a 10-year-old girl. Like, I don't know, like if a 10-year-old girl is totally deranged and runs around the street naked at night, still, like, if you're a decent man, like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I
So
completely get you. I think that very unfortunately, and it's kind of, I think, as a proud Irishman, I think that it's something that a lot of us should kind of be ashamed of, is the way that this has played out in the news and the responses to it, and the way it has headed international. It's it's an egregious incident. It's a terrible failure of the mechanisms of safety for that child in state care. That, from my understanding, she was out on a residential. She was out of the residential facility that she was staying in on a recreational trip with staff and some other kids, I believe. And she was spirited away by the perpetrator while out in town. And that is straight away a massive failure of state care. The fact that there was any chance, that any time, as someone who works with vulnerable people, that there was any time that that child was far enough away or out of sight enough that she could disappear, be taken by somebody without immediate alarm being raised, that is a massive failing on the state care system.
Yeah.
And then also, I think that there has been a massive failing in the reporting, the original reporting on the incident. And I think that that fed into the riots that I think are... The riots seem like they are about this incident, and I would say that it partially is. This is the trigger. But I think that these riots are about really a very vocal minority in Ireland, and they are absolutely a minority, a very small minority, but they are very vocal, and we've seen several instances of riots sparking with any excuse such as this, where supposedly the perpetrator is maybe an asylum seeker. I can't seem to verify that. I haven't managed to... Every report that I've seen on it says supposed asylum seeker, so obviously there's no hard proof. We do know that he speaks Arabic, which is the only thing that we know. And the thing that I will say about that is the fact that people are centering in on that, and they're using it and have used it in those riots to stage a protest and a riot against migration and immigration into this country. That's despicable. You're taking a terrible, heinous situation, which there is a lot of just reason to be angry, but burning cop cars and threatening the residents of the hotel that it supposedly happened nearby or at is housing asylum seekers. And during the riots, the rioters and protesters threatened police, injured police, through things and Molotov cocktails at...
Oh, I didn't know that they injured police officers. I knew only about the burning cars.
No, I believe that there was 3 officers were injured.
Oh, okay.
And then threatening residents of the asylum seeker residents of the hotel, and then also threatening hotel staff. I think that all what's happened is that this great injustice has been used as a pretense for this very vocal minority of racists and xenophobes. which
I
you find
do
everywhere.
have some understanding, though, that people get riled up when a 10-year-old girl with a disability
Oh, absolutely. There is
is
absolutely
assaulted in
a
that way.
reason to be angry, but I think it's the direction of that anger
Yeah,
that hurts me. Like, we have historically been a country, for like, just from my perspective as an Irishman, the Irish are everywhere. We've left Ireland en masse to go everywhere historically.
Mhm.
I think it's a bit hypocritical to start um, blaming every problem in our country on people immigrating here.
Yeah,
And I think
I
that
understand what you mean.
I think that the situation that we like have to look at now with the terrible tragedy is we have to have a full inquiry and a full investigation into how that failure took place, fixing those gaps in the state care system, ensuring nothing like this can happen again, ensuring the welfare of that poor girl in the future, and supporting her and her family through the difficulty. We have to seek appropriate justice on on her behalf from the perpetrator, and appropriate justice is seeking justice against the perpetrator. It's not using it as a talking point to stir up anti-immigrant sentiment, you know. And we kind of have a history. We have a group of a couple of groups that have been involved in similar riots in the past, where any time that there's any confirmed or supposed criminal activity by immigrants or asylum seekers, you get these same groups of people turning those terrible incidents into an excuse to wreck the place. And a friend of mine said it in a very good way, is that if you are so patriotic and so outraged, why are you so willing to direct your outrage and your anger at messing up the place and burning cop cars instead of trying to look for institutional and positive changes in the systems to prevent those failures?
There's a song by the Dead Kennedys called Riot. And in the chorus, he sings, tomorrow you're homeless, tonight it's a blast. I mean, the devastation in Ireland isn't that bad.
Yeah, not a lot. Yeah.
They're not going to be exactly homeless, but yeah, you make a point. All right. Thank you for giving us some insight on the situation from someone who actually is from there. I think in these modern times where we have media coverage of everything, it can be really helpful and really earthening, kind of, to just get a perspective from someone who actually lives there and doesn't work for the media.
Yes. I find that as well. I have friends from all over the world, and I find that sometimes I'll read something in the news and I'll go and talk to my friend who's from that place, and I'll be like, is this real? And they're like, well, parts of it are true and parts of it aren't. And you get such a better understanding of what's actually going on if you speak to a real person.
It really grounds you. All right. So let's wrap this up with the final question that I like to ask guests. What is autism to you?
Autism to me is, funnily enough, it's who I am in such a large way, but it's also my passion and my career and everything that I am trying to improve in the world is all about autism and the way it interacts with society. So autism to me is John Green has this book where everything is tuberculosis, and to me, everything is autism.
My first, my last, my everything.
Yes, exactly.
All right. Yeah, okay. That's a wonderful point to end on. Yeah, thank you for your time, Kevin.
Thank you very much. It was lovely to be here, Fabian.
It was lovely to have you as a guest.